In this video, we're going to take a look at the Project Management Professional certification from the Project Management Institute, or PMI. We get a little acronym soup on this one. The PMI's PMP certification. it's a bit of a mouthful. It is a industry-recognized project management certification, and if you're not familiar with project management in general, well, let me tell you, it's a hot-button issue with a lot of organizations. So we're starting to see more and more companies move towards formalized project management frameworks. And there's a number of frameworks that are out there. Companies are free to pick and choose whatever they want. The PMI, the Project Management Institute, they're a nonprofit organization that was formed over 20 years ago. Yeah. They've been around a while. And their idea was, hey, if you learn how to manage a project for one company, and then you go to a second company, you shouldn't have to start over from scratch. There's a lot of stuff that's done that's the same. And so they set out to create a framework, a collection of processes that you can use to help manage projects. The idea being that whether you're in construction or medical or IT or whatever, that a project is a project. You know, they all have the same fundamental methods for managing them and ensuring success. So they put all that together into one big giant book called the Project Management Body of Knowledge. And it is a big book. What is it now, Ronnie? It's like
over 600, 700 pages.
It's massive.
Yeah.
And what they did is they just took ways that people were managing projects, they made them a little more generic, so they applied to any industry, and put them together in this big book. And the idea is that if companies want to implement formal project management, instead of starting from scratch, they can just grab the PMI's model, their framework. And you don't have to do the whole thing, right? It's oftentimes overkill for small and medium businesses. You can pick and choose the components that you want that are appropriate for your organization to help you manage and ultimately be successful with a project. So it's really cool, it's really flexible, so it's kind of a nice thing to have available, and that's made it really attractive to a lot of companies. In the United States, the PMP, or the PMI framework, is the most common standardized form of project management. There's other ones out there, you know, the whole ISO 9000 series, or 20000 series. You've got the Prince 2, you know, there's other methods of project management that are out there, but in the United States, the PMI method is the most common. The other ones aren't bad, and in fact, oftentimes they're very similar. They kind of work together. They may just use different terminology and things like that. So be aware of that. But here in the U.S., PMI's, theirs is really kind of the one that's the go-to guy, right? So that's where the PMP comes in. PMP, or Project Management Professional, is a certification that designates that you have the skills and knowledge to manage a project using all of the tools and processes and all the stuff that PMI gives us, you know, that framework. And if you are a PMP certified project manager, when you go to a company and you give them your resume, they can look at it and they can say, all right, this guy already knows how to manage a project a certain way, how they can get in there and do this, and it'll be in a standard method so that if we have other project managers come in, they'll be able to understand what's going on. And I know that's a problem that I've bumped into before, where you go to work somewhere and they have 12 different project managers. If they're all managing projects different ways, it becomes really difficult to monitor and exchange information. Yeah. All right, so with the PMI, if we want to become a PMP, a project management professional, step one on our journey really needs to be going to the Project Management Professional website, or to the PMI website, and downloading the PMP handbook. The PMP handbook really summarizes everything that we need to know about the certification, and we'll go over it briefly in this video, but I encourage you guys to read it thoroughly, especially if you're going to pursue the certification. If you go to the PMI.org, that's the website, PMI.org, and you'll see on that site there's a link here for certification, and if we go into that certification link, it'll take you in here where you can start to see information about the PMP and other certifications. So there's a bunch of them over here, CAP-M, PMP, PGMP, and so on. The industry leader, the one everybody knows, is the PMP. And you know, CAP-M, let's talk about that just a little bit. That's the Certified Associate in Project Management versus Project Management Professional, right? PMP is designed for project managers, people who are managing projects as their job. They need to be experts in every aspect of project management. CAP-M that is somebody who's not a project manager, but works in a project environment. So they're a project team member, or maybe they're an accountant or scheduling assistant or somebody like that who's not the project manager, but is operating in that world on a constant basis. So they need to be familiar with the various tools and techniques and all the other different things that are involved inside of managing a project. All right. Now, if you're on the fence between the two, let me tell you this. They both have test questions that pull from the same exact information. So the way you study for CAPM is the same way that you study for PMP. So as long as you meet the qualifications, almost everyone should go for the PMP, but not everyone meets those qualifications. Now, what are those qualifications? That's what we can find in the handbook. So I'm going to browse to the PMP page here, and you'll see on the PMP page right up at the top right here, we've got the PMP handbook, and I can just click on that to get into the handbook. It's a PDF, so you can download it and save it. I know in the address bar up here it shows like a ASHX or whatever extension, but it is a PDF file. And it lays out all the information you need about the certification, what it is, who really qualifies for it, how you can sign up for it, where you can take it. All of that information is here. This is something that's really important. Every single page has important data in it. All right. Now, I don't want to focus on the whole thing, though. We'd be here all day. But let's get to our requirements. Here we go. So this is kind of laying out the process we need to follow if we want to become certified. And basically, it goes through a few things. You send in an application. You have to apply to take the exam. You can't just go and take the exam. And in that application, you have to designate your experience, the information that you've kind of gained over the years as far as where you've worked, what you've done. You have to meet certain experience levels. And once you meet that, you can then take the exam. And so that's kind of what they're highlighting here. But they actually don't break down the true requirements there. Let's find it here. All right. If you want to get your PMP, you have to meet certain requirements, which is what they're listing right here on this screen. And, where's my little zoom in icon? Apparently, I don't get that. There we go. All right, so what you'll see is it is different if you have a bachelor's degree or if you don't. So if you have a college diploma or the equivalent in your country, if you have a bachelor's degree, then what you need is 3 years or 36 months of unique, non-overlapping experience in project management. That means if you were managing 3 projects at the same time, you only get credit for one of them, right? So you've got to show that you've acquired 4,500 hours as a project manager, right? And they actually qualified a little more there, spent leading and directing the project, okay? Not necessarily being the project manager. You might have been a team lead inside of the project. That's kind of like a sub project manager, so that counts too. But you'll see 4,500 hours there. If you don't have a degree, it's 7,500 hours. All right, 7,500 hours over 5 years, non-overlapping. All right. So in order to get the PMP, you really need to be a project manager already, right? What if you're not? Well, that's what the CAPM is for. The CAPM, the Certified Associate in Project Management, it covers the same material, you study the same way for it, but it doesn't have the requirement of experience. You don't have to show that you have 4,000 or 7,000 or whatever hours of experience when you do the CAPM. All right. And then after that, both of them require 35 hours of education. You have to have attended 35 hours of training in project management. Now, not necessarily PMP classes. Maybe you've done Microsoft Project or something, Timberline training or something like that pertain to your industry. Well, that counts too, right? So you just have to submit that you attended those hours and those count. So you need 35 contact hours of formal education. All right, so those are the main requirements. If you meet those requirements, then you can pass, and become certified with a PMP. All right. If you don't meet these, your application will be declined. You won't be allowed to take the exam. So that's the first thing that we need to be aware of. All right. Next, well, then we're ready to certify, right? And that's what this chart back here was showing, is you submit your application that shows that you met those requirements, right? So you basically let them know that you meet all the requirements that were listed. Then, after that, they review your application, and it says, 5 days for the review. It's usually much, much shorter. I think, well, it's been a long time since I did mine. Mine, I think there's maybe 2 days. Then you have to pay. You do have to pay for the exam. They got to get paid. So, so you have to pay for the exam, and then you go and take it and hopefully pass. Now, once you pass the exam, right, and notice here, from payment to test, you have to take the test within 1 year of when you paid. So that's pretty important. If you don't, then you lose the money and you got to pay again. They don't do a refund on that. All right. Once you become certified, you're then in the certification cycle. You have to renew every 3 years, and you can renew one of two different ways. Method one is to retake the exam, right? But if you're like me, once you take it, you don't want to take it again. It's a long exam. So method two is to do continuing education. You continue to learn. You attend webinars, you attend classes, you get what are called professional development units, or PDUs, and you have to acquire 60 PDUs, or basically 60 hours, every 3 years. All right. Now, I'll talk about something in a minute, which is an easy way to get PDUs. So they're not hard to get, and they can actually be done very, very inexpensively, but they do need to be done. So, for example, I'm on my second renewal cycle with PMI, and so for me, I'm continually doing activities to get more PDUs. It's important. So, all right. So as long as that's done, you stay certified, and you can be certified for life as long as you continue to do your PDUs. If you ever don't, if you just stop, you go on a 1-year suspension. So you have a chance to become current, but if you don't do it then you've got to go and pass the exam again. So that's kind of the process that they follow. All right. The exam itself is administered through Sylvan centers in the United States. In other countries, it's administered in different places. So definitely read through the handbook to find out where it's offered for your organization or for your country. Then the exam itself, let me just find the price here. Here we go. For the exam, if you are doing the computer-based training, which is or computer-based testing, sorry, which is the standard method, you'll see the exam is $405 for PMI members, and it's $555 for non-PMI members. All right, what's this membership stuff? Well, PMI.org is a nonprofit organization, and anyone without limits can join the PMI. So you can become a member of the Project Management Institute today, right now. You can go to their website and sign up and join the PMI. All right, it's a great service. I've been a PMI member for 6 years now, 5 years, something like that. And you get access to free webinars, which count for PDUs. You know, I get like a good 3 PDUs a month just as part of my PMI membership. You get access to articles online. You get access to communities where you can talk to other people that are in your industry. You also get a free copy of the PMBOK, the Project Management Body of Knowledge, that big book. Right. That 700-page book, you get a free copy. It's a PDF, it's a digital copy, but believe me, you wouldn't want the paper one. So you get that as part of your membership. So a lot of good value there. But another value is the discount on the exam. That's $150 off the exam. Well, it costs $129 per year to be a member of the PMI. Yeah. So you pay $129 to save $150. It pays for itself. And you get a year membership out of it. Now, PMI does that on purpose because they want you to stay a member. You know, people like me, I continue to stay a member because I get value out of it. But here, getting ready for the exam, you get 2 big things. One, you get the discount, so it pays for itself. Why not do it? And 2, you get a copy of the PMBOK, which is what the test is based on. The PMP exam is full of questions pulled straight from the Project Management Body of Knowledge. So it's almost like having the answer key. Now, granted, it's a 700-page answer key that you can't take with you, but you know, the information is there. It's worth it. You do want to become a member. All right. So you'll see right there that cost, the $400 and $555. Depending on which way you go, that's how your price is going to be determined. Now, if you do not pass the first time, you can repeat the exam, and when you repeat, they do give you a discount. So you'll see members are $275, non-members $375, so a bit of a difference there. All right, So that's kind of the exam cost. We sign up for the exam, and we go and we take it at whatever area or whatever testing provider is available in the region that we're in. From there, you're ready to take the exam. The PMP exam itself, it's 175 questions, and I'm sorry, it's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
It's 200 questions. Only 175 of them actually count towards your score. The other 25, they're kind of like beta questions. They're trying them out. They call them pre-test to see if they work. If the questions are good, if people are getting them right at the average amount that they look for, then those will become real questions for other people. If they don't work, if a lot of people are getting them wrong, then PMI will remove them. The thing is, they don't tell you which questions are pre-test and which ones aren't. So when you take the exam, you get 200 questions, you have to treat them all as if they were real. You don't know which 25 don't count. So while it's a 200 question exam, only 175 actually count to your score. Right? It is a 4-hour exam, and if you're like me, I went to 3 hours and 59 minutes. I mean, I went right to the end of that exam. It just depends on the person, though. I've heard of people getting in and out of there in like 2 hours, which just blew my mind. But if you are a focused and really detail-oriented tester like I am, you'll take up that whole time. It's a long one. All right. One point I do want to make is you can take breaks during the exam. It says like no scheduled breaks, blah, 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 but you can take your own breaks if you want, if you need to go to the restroom or whatever, but the timer doesn't stop. When that 4-hour timer starts, it's going. So if you take a 15-minute break to use the restroom, you just lost 15 minutes on the exam. So be aware of that. You want to stay focused and get through the exam. All right. The exam itself is pulled right from the PMBOK. And in the real show, we're going to talk about the different project phases that are out there. PMI breaks a project into 5 phases, and they're just showing here the way the questions break down percentage-wise. So, initiation is 13% of the exam, and then so on as it breaks down. You'll see that executing is probably the largest portion of the exam, but planning and monitoring and controlling are another big portion. Everything else is kind of spread out from there. All right. And I think that's really about it that we need from here. Seems like there was one other thing. Let me just skim through here real quick to see if I can spot it. I mean, there's a ton of information. One of my favorite things about the PMI is they post all of their phone numbers right here in the handbook. And I'll tell you, I've called probably 3 times over the years, and every time I got a human being answering the phone. It's just unheard of. No computer menu or anything. I actually got a person. So if you ever have a question on this stuff, if you're not sure where to sign up or whatever, just give them a phone call. All the phone numbers are right there in the handbook. It's a valuable thing to have. All right. Let's see. That is for the other stuff. That's the main stuff from here. Like I said, there is a lot of good stuff in this handbook, though. So go and download it. It is good information for you. All right. Once you become a PMP, once you're certified, you've shown that you have an understanding of how the Project Management Institute's framework functions. Now you turn around and you apply it at your organization. There's many organizations that require their project managers to be a PMP certified PM, and that's a good thing in my opinion. It is really handy. If you step into a project midstream, like mid-project, if they've been following the PMI framework, it's super easy to get jump-started, get in there, and start working in the project. If they've just done, fly by the seat of their pants, make up their own stuff, it's really difficult to get up to speed and make sure everything's in place. And that's one of the things that the PMI framework does. So, all right, Ronnie, I think that's a pretty good summary of the PMP and kind of what's involved. Do you think anything I left out?
Nope. Just remember, as much as you can actually go and register just for a free account right now at the PMI, and that way you can get access at least to some of those articles. We're not going to give you access to everything, but it's a great resource for you to actually begin in. And so once you actually do that, that will again get you familiar with a lot of the terms and concepts to begin there. And look forward to again seeing what else you actually have available to you, and the way that it actually opens doors in the future for you as well once you're PMP certified.
Yep, I do want to throw out one more thing, it was the thing I was thinking of a moment ago. In a lot of our shows, we go really in depth into our content, and we talk about everything that's going to be on the exam. And what we try to do is we try to make it where our show contains everything you need to know for the exam. Well, with the PMP, we'll do the same, right? So no different than any other show. But it is so much information. There is so much. And a lot of it is kind of open to interpretation in some cases. But this is one of the few cases where I really do recommend that you purchase a textbook. A book to use kind of in conjunction with our videos is really handy, really helps make sure that you've got a good understanding of the content. And there's one book in particular that I recommend, and I don't make any money on this or anything, so I'm just going straight to Amazon. And on Amazon.com, they have this book here. It's written by Joseph Phillips. It's the CAPM PMP all-in-one certification guide. Remember what I said at the beginning of this little special is you study the same way for both certifications, so it's just one book. And it's a really good book. It's big, but he takes all the data and he puts it into a logical order. It's very well written, very easy to understand. It has a CD in the back that has some practice questions as well as a PDF of the book. So it's just an all-around good book to use. So if you're going to buy just one book, I recommend this one. It's only $30 in hardcover. I bought the Kindle edition a while back, and that's under $30 also. So it's definitely something that you can make use of, and it's a really good one, especially for taking notes and kind of following along. It's pretty handy. So, all right. So that's about all I've got for the PMP. So if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to us. We've got the Q&A section on the website, or you can always shoot us an email or whatever. But hopefully that kind of answers any questions you had about the certification itself. Now we're ready for the show.
All right.